And with that one sentence, the deal was off.
Do you think he was saying it to be funny, or he really meant like it was kind of like a slap in the face kind of thing?
I think he was just fucking with, like, trolling him the whole time. Inappropriate with Jim and Steve. Inappropriate with Jim and Steve. Hey everybody, this is Jim, and welcome back to another wonderful conversation. And won't you join us?
Take a little ride with us.
I'm here sitting with my co-host,
Steve.
and we are well on our way to Christmas. If you don't have your ugly sweater picked out yet,
You're
fucked.
Goodwill is empty.
And if you have not been invited to a holiday Christmas party yet, you're probably just an asshole.
I know.
Follow us on Facebook.
A couple things we want to get into, but don't let me forget about this brag.
We actually have a request.
We have a request from cousin brother Phil.
He's here in spirit.
He messaged us and said, I'm nominating a brag, and checked into it. Checks out. So, so we're going to get into that shortly after we tease up what else we have in store.
I have some dark secrets from Disney, which are always good.
I have the biggest marriage dilemma I think I've ever read, Steve, and we're going to get your opinion and my opinion on what the fuck's going on with this marriage. Before we kick off this brag, I wanted to just do maybe a mini brag, but we don't do famous people brags.
Yeah.
Because that would just be fucking...
They're already
that would
famous,
be
so
stupid.
fuck
Yeah,
them.
they don't need a fucking brag. But Zach Galifianakis, everybody knows him from the Hangover and, I don't know,
Between Two Ferns.
which is so underrated. That little show is so underrated. I've read this interesting thing from him, and it's he turned down one of the biggest sponsors in the world. And the way that he did it, he's the hero we all need.
He's Batman.
He is Batman. And I don't know why this sponsor even reached out to him, but Nike reached out to him.
Really?
To be a sponsor. Obviously, if Nike reaches out to you, it's a solid sponsorship deal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You got to take it serious.
Yeah.
The day came where they would meet. Zach had a pretty busy schedule, so they agreed to meet over video call. So they negotiated this multi-million-dollar deal. And before the phone call ended, Zach says casually to them, I got one question for you guys. Do you guys still have 6-year-olds making your shoes for you? And with that one sentence, the deal was off.
Do you think he was saying it to be funny, or he really meant like it was kind of like a slap in the face kind of thing?
I think he was just fucking with, like, trolling him the whole time. I have a lot of respect for Zach, and he's probably makes multi-million-dollars. So, like,
Yeah.
if you're not one of those just money-hungry people that if you got 15 million, now you need 50 million, or you need 100 million, and he's cool with what he's got, just to have enough fuck you money to say fuck you to Nike, it's just it does something just wonderful to me.
It's pretty good. He really said it like all but serious.
Right. Moving on. Let's get into this brag. So cousin brother Phil, everybody's favorite cousin brother.
Yes.
Certainly ours on the show.
Yes.
He reached out, and it struck a chord with me because everybody, if you have children, there's certain moments that it's like proud dad moments, proud mom moments. Cousin brother Phil's daughter, my niece.
Your niece. I was wondering if you were going to do that.
Just put it together for everyone. She plays varsity soccer. They made it to the state championships.
Nice.
And they were playing at like, I think Loyola. It was 0-0 for a large part of the game. And Alyssa's team, which she plays for Sparrows Point.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, they got a corner kick.
Mm-hmm.
So their team corner kicked it, and Alyssa jumped up midair while the ball was in there, kicked it, and scored the winning goal.
Dude, that's badass.
On the championship game.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Good for you.
And there's a video of it, which was, for your kid to get to a championship game, and like even just to win the game is something like as a parent you hope that your child can experience growing.
Yeah.
And especially being on video of your kid winning, the winning goal in a dramatic fashion, corner kick, and she jumped up, it was in the air, boom, kicked it, skull, and like the whole place went crazy.
That's fucking badass.
Shout out to Phil's daughter Alyssa for winning the game for Sparrows Point.
Good job. Congratulations.
A lot of times when you win the championship, where do you go, Steve?
Everyone says go to Disney.
Go to Disney.
I'm going to Disney World.
But there is a darker side to Disney, so I hear.
Yeah, there's always been a whole bunch of dark things with Disney, like that alligator that ate that kid.
But they do a pretty good job of covering it up.
Yes,
like
they
they just sweep it under the rug so quick. And most of the things probably don't ever get out.
Yes,
I'd imagine.
Recently in Disneyland in California, one of the greatest rides of all time, It's a Small World, a guy decided that he enjoyed it too much and needed to take off all his clothes and get out of the ride and onto the stage with all the little people. If you can imagine, he was quickly apprehended and arrested. And then he's no longer allowed to go to a Disney park.
I mean, he's no longer around children, I'd imagine. I mean, he's a sexual predator.
If you streak during It's a Small World,
anywhere at Disney for sure. There's nothing but kids and weird ass adults. It's a Small World is a boat ride.
Yeah, it's a boat ride. He took his clothes off and jumped out of the boat.
It's so weird because it's so weird to do that. You're never in the boat by yourself.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you're not even in the boat with people you know.
Yeah, it's
whatever the next 6 or 8
like
or whatever.
The next herd of people just get into the boat.
So you just got some random family on vacation, and you got some meth head starting to take off his clothes. What the fuck do you do?
I mean, he had to know he was going to do it the whole time. So,
of all the things you could do, if you were in that frame of mind and wanted to take your clothes off,
like a streaker on a baseball, makes more sense than doing it in Disneyland. On It's a Small World.
A lot of the streakers now are paid. Not paid, but there's prop bets.
Yeah,
and they place they place their own prop bet, and then of course they try to get the payout, or they have some like advertisement on their back tattoo, like something. There's some promotional
some political
thing.
agenda.
Yeah, there's something behind it. Not just you want to be naked in front of a lot of people and try to dodge the bouncers.
And then from the pictures, this guy did not have any advertisements. He didn't have a Nike swoosh on him or anything. He was just
like,
out there.
Why naked? Because
naked?
I'm going to get off this boat and jump in and be part. Like, you could do that, and that's crazy enough.
Yeah.
Right? You don't need to take the clothes off.
You jumped up and started like hugging the little dolls, the animatronic dolls.
Like, you could just do that clothed and still be just as crazy without catching the sexual charge.
But think about doing it naked.
I mean, it does add a lot to the story. Because then you're like, because before you could be like, that dude was drunk.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can, and then, not that it's good, but to take your clothes off, minimal PCP. Right? Like, there's
like you thought his skin was on fire or something.
What are you doing? Like, you know how expensive Disney is?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing that for?
Like, they could probably kill him and wipe his existence off the face of the earth.
No one would know.
And no one would know. Yeah.
Just bury him under the Magic Cat Kingdom or something.
Yeah. They would just like fucking get rid of him.
I hate people sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's a funny story right now.
Yeah. This took a turn that I didn't think it was going to take about how creepy the guy is.
But
you're right. You're absolutely right.
Kids are innocent. They are the only thing innocent left, right? And you try to protect that as long as possible, right? And you might only get to 9-10 years old before the real world creeps in, and you try to shelter them just a little bit. Disney is from like 4 to 8 is like the magic time to take them, and then you got to somehow make it make sense to them about this fucking prick who is a grown-ass man who got naked, jumped out of the boat, and is posing with his dick out for at least, I mean, I don't know how fast they caught him,
I don't know.
but I'd imagine at least 4 or 5 boats passed. I mean, enough that he's not hopping back in his boat.
Yeah, because they're like one right after the
Oh,
other.
yeah. I mean,
so
it's just cranking them through.
Yeah.
God.
What was the end game of that?
What was the best possible outcome for him?
Like, you're going to get caught.
And did he leave his clothes in the boat? Or were they in his hand?
They were in his hand. They were in his hand.
Who was with him?
I don't know. I don't.
You know what I mean? That's what I need to know, because if this motherfucker went to him by himself, and this was like super planned out, like I'm doing this. It's a small world.
Would it make it any better if he was like with his boys and all his boys decided that they were like, let's go to Disneyland today and go, and he was like, take your clothes. I dare you, take your clothes off.
No, not at Disney.
What happens if he came in last in fantasy? And it was his punishment.
His punishment is going on the sexual predator list. Like, no, that's. You cross the line when you fuck with kids.
Yeah,
I'm game for a lot of shit, but you cross the line when you fuck with kids.
Yeah, I hear you.
Can we get into this Reddit story?
I've been waiting for this Reddit story.
I'm not even going to read the title. I, 34 female, and my husband, 35 male. We've been together for 14 years. We have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old together. 3 years ago, my husband got, well, I don't know what to say, but bored. I'm not sure what else to call it. So after a while, mostly begging on his part, I accepted to introduce a third into our marriage.
Man, she really didn't want it.
We will call her Harper, 25 female. And to make it a little more weird, she is his sister's friend.
All right.
And it's been 3 years. I love Harper. She's like crazy sweet. The children love her. We do girls' trips together. We split everything 50-50. We go shopping together. But my husband most definitely prefers Harper.
Well, she was saying no for so long.
I don't know how long he's trying to talk her into it.
Oh, yeah.
But
okay.
she's 34 and she's 25. Now, I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but
yeah,
all things considered, 25-year-old's probably going to be a little, with no kids, mind you.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't have all those extra things weighing her down, and maybe, you know, a little more spunky. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we have no idea how these they look.
Yes.
Right. My husband prefers Harper. He pushes her to do exercise, to diet, to dress pretty. But she's also the first one he'll text if he gets good or bad news. She's the first one that he'll greet when he gets home. They go on dates once a week. My husband said it's because Harper insisted that they communicate that way. He's always going to Harper first. They have better sex. The wife now doesn't know where it went wrong. What should she do? When I was reading that, I'm thinking, this might be the dumbest person.
Yes. I mean,
I've ever.
I didn't even let you. I didn't even know where the end of it was going, and I already was picking out problems. So what did she do wrong?
I mean, major red flags.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate that she was maybe willing to go out of her comfort zone.
Yeah.
But probably did so in the mind frame of saving her marriage.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, let's bring another.
He probably definitely pressed it.
Do you think that he was already cheating on her with Harper and then somehow like got her to go, or at least had Harper in mind? Like, because that's a hard sell.
Yeah, especially if it's a friend. His wife was like, look, I'm not really interested in being intimate. I don't
want to give you blowjobs anymore.
Yeah. If you can find someone that, you know, maybe we could, like you've asked, we've wanted a third. I'd be willing to entertain it. Do you have anyone in mind? Harper.
Right. And that's what I feel.
Because he's had to have that conversation with Harper. I agree with what you're saying, is that they were...
He already test drove Harper.
Yes, correct. And Harper's probably like a person that just like she's free,
just a free spirit.
Free spirit. Just doesn't care. She doesn't want to get tied down
with like a family with kids.
Yeah, with her kids.
but likes to moonlight as a mom.
Yeah,
right. So she
yeah.
can like hang out with the kids and be like the fun aunt.
Yeah,
And then go fuck her dad, and then like fuck her mom, and you imagine there's some threesomes in there.
yeah, I mean, you would have to think so.
So like that guy,
Because the first time she's the wife isn't letting him and Harper go at it
Just go
without her being
Right,
there is
right.
what my thought process would be. For lack of sounding like an asshole, he's a piece of shit.
I mean, I'm just trying to think the angle. Like, what's the angle that she was really like, I just don't want to fuck anymore. You know, like I just
Yeah.
I don't want to give hand jobs. He wants blowjobs twice a week. I don't feel like giving a blowjob. And then all along comes Harper willing to like give the Gawk 3000.
Yeah. and she's like, well, you know what? Then I still everything will still be the same.
I'll get extra hand around the house to help clean with the kids.
Yeah, he
I'll get a
won't-
built-in friend. We go out shopping and we can
It's
go
like
drinking.
nothing in it for her except for like no intimate part of it. It's just now she's like, oh, I got a shopping buddy.
Right, like help someone else to clean the house. I can't imagine a world where there's no jealousy, and I think that's probably where this is coming from now.
Yeah, 'cause there's
like the
100%
honeymoon period ended. Like this has been
Yes.
going for 3 years.
Yes.
So okay, so the newness wore off. You know what I mean? Like okay, like now I don't gotta do any of the sexual stuff. I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
That's Harper's job.
Yeah.
But I don't know if people are very good at drawing that line.
No.
That's a very. I mean, you got to be a special kind of person to be like.
People with those open relationships, there's always one person that's not into it. Like both
Right.
people have to be, I feel like 100% into it. He played a game. He
And won.
He got Yahtzee. He got Yahtzee.
But he had to marry the right girl that would do that, or the wrong girl. You know what I mean? Somebody
yeah.
who's probably fucking gullible as shit.
Yes.
And I feel like he's the type of guy. And man, I'm just under assumption here.
Oh,
But
it's overdoing.
like when he drinks, he goes home to punch. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or at least the threat
Or
is
you-
there. Or like the understanding, like he's the king.
Yeah.
You know,
King of the castle. King of the-
Don't cross me. And then he probably brainwashed her into thinking.
You know what?
He gaslit her.
You're-
Like, you don't want to do this. I know you don't want to. I know you don't want to.
You're right. You're right with that. He sat there and probably beat her down so much.
At least
that-
mentally.
Yes, and then made her feel like this was the only thing that could save their marriage, was bringing in Harper, who he's already
Right.
been.
And probably, I mean, he gaslit her to make her think that might be her idea. Like
Yeah.
he's helping her out. I'm alleviating this stress out of your life because you don't want to do this with me.
Yep.
I need this.
Yeah.
I need 3 blowjobs a week.
And
to
if
function.
you're not willing to do that, we can just find someone else that would, and then everything would be great.
Oh God, what
What a fucking piece of shit. Is he a piece of shit?
But I would like to. We have listeners all across the globe. At least a couple of them have to be in some type of open relationship.
Yes. I would
So,
love to know the ins and outs of that.
Please reach out to us on really any of the social medias, but mainly Facebook. You can send us a message, Inappropriate with Jim and Steve, or Instagram. That's cool. But also follow us. But I really want to hear the other perspective.
I
of
would
this.
love to know why it would be a good thing. I'd like to know their perspective on
Yeah,
it.
like
I'd
just-
have so many questions.
We will put you on the show. You want to come on the show? We will get you on the show. We can have an entire show of this because
Yes, we will figure out how to do a Zoom podcast.
it's fascinating, like a crime scene type fascinating, where you're like, this ain't right in certain ways, but you can't stop
Yeah.
looking at it. You know what I mean? Like,
And
that
how did it
lifestyle.
start? Like, what was the conversation like? I just want to know.
Right, like how do you introduce it? What goes on day to day? Because HBO used to have that weird special. I can't remember what it was.
Hookers at the Point.
I don't know, but it was like about polyamory, or like it was really more about the swinger lifestyle, not like the whole
Big Love.
maybe. But it was
Like
it wasn't a show.
Oh,
it wasn't
a
a
documentary?
show. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and they had it way back in the day, and it was like a series. But there was a certain personality thread throughout every.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Like you can pick out those, and it's like cringy, a little cringy on the guys. The women were cringy as well. It was
Yeah.
like they were like the same person, and never like somebody that I was be like, oh, they'd be cool to hang out with. It was always like those people that would trap you in a conversation at a party.
Yeah. It's always funny that like, and I'm not saying this for anyone who's in it, whoever likes to do is into this thing, you know, I'm not saying this, but I always think about, you know, those cult leaders, like
Yes.
all cult leaders, no matter what they are, they always have sex with all the women.
Yes.
It's always a rule. Like it's it's always a rule. And it's always crazy that just, and it's like, they just,
And
they're like 35-year-old male. with all
cult
of them.
leaders and swingers, same people, same fucking person.
Prove us wrong.
Yeah, prove us wrong. Inappropriate with Jim and Steve. Switching crazy topics before we wrap up. I saw this the other day, and it's almost one of those things that too good to be true.
Mm-hmm.
If it is true, and if it works the way it says it's going to work, it's somebody's an instant billionaire.
Uh-huh.
It just, scientists have created a drink that cuts the blood alcohol levels in half in just 30 minutes.
That is fucking impossible.
It seems,
Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
If they can somehow pull this off, there's no more DUIs.
Yeah.
It has to cut down like drunk driving deaths and accidents
Yeah.
like dramatically. And then hangovers. The worst thing about drinking too much is the hangover the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would save lives.
It would save lives
across the board.
and make people more productive on a Sunday.
I mean, you go out drinking all day, and then your last drink of the night is just this drink. Scientists have created a drink called the Safety Shot, a new blood alcohol detox drink set to launch later this year, which seems to reduce blood alcohol content in less than an hour after consumption and makes hangovers less prevalent. Created using scientifically proven ingredients, this Safety Shot is said to work by enhancing metabolic pathways that break down blood alcohol levels and creating a protective layer around the stomach to prevent residual alcohol absorption into the body. And it's featuring a tailored selection of all natural vitamins and minerals and nootropics. It lowers blood alcohol levels faster than any other hangover cure while enhancing mental clarity. And according to the company, it should be available for the public by the end of 2023.
that would be a fucking game changer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it would work. That's why I'm not a scientist. But
if it works, it might be one of the better inventions ever. Like literally in the history of people.
it's got to taste like shit, right? There's got to be a downside to it. Probably got to give you cancer. Or something. It's got to fucking
You don't
kill.
get a hangover.
Yeah.
Your asshole will fall inside out. Small price to pay.
Your skin peels off on it. But to be, yeah, because to think about it, where you're like, you know, there's a point where people were out and they're like, you know what, I've partied too much, probably shouldn't drive, but I'd be like, why not stay out for another 30 minutes? I'll drink this, and then hopefully I'm under the limit or whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
But yeah, I can't think of a scenario if this works that it's bad.
I always read a thing that said that like there is no way to cure, like, I mean, where people would say like, if you're drunk, drink coffee or do this to help that. But if it's like a way for it to just like, I don't understand, because I always feel like, and I don't know if this makes any sense, but I'm like, you gotta pee it out. Like the alcohol's in your body as it goes through your system. You're making more room for
more
the good
alcohol.
for the good stuff. Maybe
I mean,
more
in theory,
alcohol,
I
maybe
think
more.
that's partly true because your metabolism metabolizes whatever
Yeah,
you got. So if
yeah.
you're peeing it out, then you're like your body's like moving it through the system.
It's showing that.
So
it's
the
pushing.
faster it pushes it through, the faster it can get out. But I don't know if that works the same because in your blood.
Yeah, because then they always say like the only way to is time. Like you can't beat, like it just takes time to do it. No drinking coffee, no like doing this. But if there's a drink that you could drink and somehow it just like attacks
Yeah.
your drunk blood cells.
I think if you could take it first. And it does, well, if you don't want to take it first because then it coats your stomach, you won't get drunk at all.
It'll take you twice as much to get drunk.
Ain't nobody got money for that.
Yeah. You have to switch to natural lights.
Right. But if you could take it at the end of the night, I'm about it.
I know. There's always a point at if I go out and when I get home and I'm hungover, I do it every fucking time I go out. I go back home and I open up a beer because I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to drink it. I do it all the time. I'm like, I go, and I can count on one hand how many times I've taken a sip of said beer. I open it up, sit it down, and then pass out. Then I wake up and then there's a full beer. So it's like, I'm like,
because you want to keep the party going.
Keep the party going, or I'm like, this is just gonna, I'm just gonna sit down, have a beer, watch some TV, fall asleep. That'd be. But no, I open it up and then I look at it and I'm like, why? I don't want that.
Yeah, well, your personality is to keep the party going. You always want to keep the party going until you can't party anymore.
Until I can't do it anymore.
Right.
I mean, as I've gotten older, I've gotten to the point where I've sit there and I'm like, yep, don't want to drink that anymore. Don't want to drink it anymore. Like I'll be out and I'm just like, nope, done.
Yeah, and I'm kind of petrified of a DUI, and I don't like being drunk. So I'm not the guy that likes to get trashed where I get that 1,000-mile stare. So I'm very good historically of riding that line. Like when I'm buzzed, and you could, because when you're buzzed, everybody can feel that. You get a little looser, a little more chatty, a little you get a little smiling and giggling, and I can ride that line. Like when I feel that, I'll slow it up. And I'll throttle back, and I'll touch the line again, and then I'll throttle back.
I'm always like full steam ahead.
And that's the way my wife is. If 4 drinks make you feel good,
how will
8 drinks will make you feel great. But my wife is a 6-drink person.
Yeah,
and we'll blow right past. And my wife will come on eventually to plead her case, but she has it's like a 3-minute window to where she's happy-go-lucky to the switch.
And chaos.
Then chaos. You're right. Like it is so fast. And I've gotten good over the last 20
so fast.
I've gotten good at recognizing that little window.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, hey, have a water. I'll try to get. And then
does she get pissed when you try to give her that water?
Sometimes. The fun police. I've gotten that a couple times. I'm like, you call me that one more fucking time. Go ahead, drink. I'm driving. Go ahead. And then she's on the floor, doing praying to the porcelain god.
Yeah, and nowadays Uber's the greatest thing that's ever is next to this alcohol drink. If you like to go out and Uber's the greatest thing in the entire world because I use it anytime I go out. Like even if I'm going out for like a couple,
because it's so cheap compared to the alternative.
Yes, and no matter how much it is, it's always going to be better.
Right. I mean, my most expensive Uber ride I think was like $140 or something.
Yeah,
that's still tremendously cheaper than the alternative.
Yes.
All right, everybody. I hope you are all well into the Christmas spirit by now. We only have about less than 2 weeks until Christmas. So I mean, I know you haven't done any shopping, but I hope our listeners, hang out with us. We're almost rounding out the year, and we're going to get maybe a best of. Do we got a best of in us, Steve?
Maybe a best of. Definitely a countdown episode. Another countdown episode.
Thanks for hanging out with us one more time, guys. And it really means a lot to us when you share the podcast. I know we always say that, but this is a labor of love for us.
Yes.
And we do this every week just to entertain you guys. And it does mean a lot when we get feedback, specifically on Apple and Spotify. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, take 2 seconds and just rate it. Just give us a rating.
Give us a rating.
It means a lot. So if you've gotten some entertainment, some chuckles, if you listen to us either regularly or even semi-regularly, it does mean a lot to us because we do this just because we love putting out entertainment for you guys.
Yes, we do. That's going to do it.
That's going to do it. Yep. I'm Jim.
I'm Steve.
And we will see you next time.
I'm an addict, addicted to being savage. My life is a little graphic, like HBO making magic. I'm rapping to make that passive money coming from traffic, doing mental gymnastics. I'm fluid and problematic. You losing if you come at me the wrong way. I've come a long way from sipping on